purpose forever guide our hand. Long may the Monaro prosper, long may its people stand, bound by truth and honor in this bold and hard land.
Welcome to Monaro Zone, where we cut through the noise and bring you the real stories shaping our region. Today, we tackle the Tyrolean Bike Trail saga with local trail builder Paul Gardner, who exposes the bureaucratic red tape, missing millions, and lost opportunities that have stalled Jindabyne's cycling future. Paul shares his first-hand experience, years of pushing for world-class trails, only to be sidelined by consultants, endless studies, and shifting priorities. Meanwhile, other regions thrive. So why is Jindabyne falling behind? And where exactly has the $12 million earmarked for trail development gone? Buckle up, because in this episode, we cut through 1,000 pages of council spin and get straight to the truth about the Tyrolean Trail.
It's just ridiculous. Nothing is happening. This is just a scattergun approach to hide $12 million.
I saw you mention that on Facebook.
Yeah, we got $12 million to go around the lake. We started a committee over a decade ago to go around the lake. We got the money to go around the lake. Not to rebuild trails or to spruce them up or anything, to build a whole new trail network, and that was like 7 years ago they got the money. And somehow they managed to hold on to the money by saying that they were going to do repairs and everything. And now throwing this money at Tyrolean, whilst it's a good thing, great, we'll build some new trails, but they're just going to go and refresh trails. They're going to hide a few $100,000 and take, how many millions, and then say they've spent the 12 million. Where's the 12 million? In the same time, it was funny because Craig Stonestreet, my best mate, one of my best friends, he signs off on Thredbo trails. Project managed Narooma and Eden Mountain Bike Park. Project managed Tumbarumba, which are the three biggest mountain bike park developments in the last 4 years. They made over 100 Ks a trail for around about $12 million, and they got it done in 2 to 3 years. And now business is booming down the coast, and our numbers have plummeted. We've gone back to a decade ago tourism, where our numbers have just plummeted because why come here? There's nothing here. It annoys me. Wow. Yeah, we worked our asses off. We started the trail stewardship. We started the Thredbo Valley Trail Committee. We started the Lake Jindabyne Trail Committee. We started the cycling club. We were going places. We were the #1 cycling destination in Australia. And now, apart from Thredbo, they are the only ones who are developing trails.
Wow.
And we have gone backwards and out the door. Yeah, most Jindabyne people go down the coast to ride bikes.
Which is crazy, considering that we should have the best downhill.
Dude, we had the biggest mountain bike club per capita in Australia by a mile. We were massive. We were booming. We had the biggest events. We had the newest, latest, greatest trails. And now we're miles behind, years behind. Yeah.
Wow, bro, you started off on a great introduction. I couldn't beat that. Hello, everybody. I'm here with Paul Gardner. He is part of Jindabyne Trail Stewardship. Is that?
I was one of the founding members of Jindabyne Trail Stewardship, one of the founding members of the Jindabyne Cycling Club, founding members of the Lake Jindabyne Trail Committee, Thredbo Valley Trail, also built Thredbo Valley Trail, helped build Tyrolean, helped build Bungarra, helped build Gladstone Mountain Bike Park, Tumbarumba Mountain Bike Park, Majura Pines in Canberra. So I have a trail company, Rolling Ground Jindabyne, but also advocate for cycling. I'm a cyclist, and I live here. I want trails here.
So needless to say, you have a little bit of experience in this area?
Yeah, there's one person who has more experience than me, and that's my friend Craig Stonestreet, who left the area because he got sick to death of not being consultant. And as I mentioned, in the meantime, his project managed the 3 biggest mountain bike projects in Australia over the last 5 years and still oversees trail development and signing off of all trails at Thredbo.
So that's a brilliant dovetail into what I want to ask. Have you been consulted with
Not at
this
all.
1,000-page document?
Not at all. They haven't asked Craig. They haven't asked me. We've got some of the leading trail builders in Australia. There has been no consulting whatsoever. And this is one of the reasons Craig left the area. He started by building trails. He consulted these guys originally, got Coppertom in, got Mill Creek Trail in. And then they just started paying other people money to do consulting work, and lots of this stuff in that document, I'm not going to sit down and read 1,000 pages, but lots of that was reports done years ago. It's not relevant.
But there's a whole section on climate change in there. I'm sure that's highly relevant to a bike trail.
I don't know, is it?
There's also a whole section dedicated to Aboriginal artifacts as well.
Yeah. But how many studies have we done there? I think 7, 8 years ago, they'd already done 2 or 3, and they told us we were good to go to build. And when we started the trail stewardship, the council said, that's your land. As long as you consolidate trails and make them sustainable, then you can build in there whatever you want. And now in the meantime, it seems like every year a couple more Aboriginal studies are done. And environmental impact studies. One wasn't enough, but they just keep doing them until they keep finding things. So, yeah, crazy.
If we had the majority of councillors on side for this project, what would you like to see go ahead?
I'd like to see the money put towards the mountain bike park over on Round Hill. That was part of the SAP project plan. They sucked us all in and said, hey, we're going to build this amazing mountain bike park for you. That goes up Round Hill, backs onto Bungara there, goes right down to the lake. And it would be an internationally renowned mountain bike park. It would be epic. The problem we have with that is now the SAP hasn't gone ahead and there's no money for the project. But here we are sitting on $12 million and they're flittering it away doing trail maintenance and widening trails that don't need to be widened and things like that. Let's spend it on the mountain bike park. That's the only way we'll get tourists back here, is if we have a big mountain bike park. Spending it on Tyrolean's great, good, and, I can definitely see benefits, pros and cons in that, but they're not going to spend millions and millions and millions. It's going to be a couple of $100,000 and then they're going to say they spent millions.
Oh, is that right? I figured that if it was 1,000 pages that we would be spending at least $1 million or $2 million on it.
Maybe $1 million, maybe, yeah.
And do you know who's going to get the tender for that project?
Well, that'll go up for tender, But look, the TRC guys, the first stage of it was widening Coppertom.
Who are the TRC guys?
Tourism Recreation. I can't remember what the C stands for, but a local organisation run by Lockie Wiggins. They're really good guys, hey? I worked with them over at Tumbarumba, and they did a great job widening the trails. But did it need to happen? I don't know. The trails were wide originally. They grow back to single trail. That's what we're looking at. Widening dirt trails on very low side slope areas doesn't work because all you're doing is widening so bigger silt problems, bigger runoff problems, and then bigger drainage problems. Wide trails are good if you have steep side slope and you can run drains off all the time. Like I said, the TRC guys did a great job there.
Do you imagine the Tyrolean pathway being expensive to maintain?
It's not expensive. Like the trail stewardship have done a magic job. That was set up, and originally, again, council said they were going to fund the trail stewardship, which we set up on a model of the Sierra Trail stewardship, which ran on volunteers but employed 25 full-time staff. So our goal was, we're going around the lake, they've got the money, we'll start the trail stewardship, we'll have volunteers, and we'll have enough money because the council supplies money, and we'll raise money to pay for people full-time to maintain trails. But that hasn't eventuated. The trail stewardship works its arse off, and the local community totally supports it and funds it. The council does virtually nothing to look after trails. Trail stewardship put in anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 hours a year of volunteer and have looked after all the trails. Without the trail stewardship, it would be gone. We would have no trails in the region.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to Trail Stewardship. Thank you for your services.
They're doing a good job, but it's like any volunteer organisation. You get to a point where you burn people out. We can't keep doing it for free, and they can't keep doing it for free.
Who are the people that run it at the moment? Is it Stephen and...
Yeah, Stephen, I think, is one of the guys. You can find all that on Facebook.
Yeah, I was just looking it up just then.
Yeah, look, they've done a great job under really difficult circumstances, hey? And the conditions of how we set up the trail stewardship and what we were going to get for the council are completely different to real life. Like I said, without the support of locals, local businesses, local people, trails would not exist. They'd be all grown over and finished. Yeah.
And do you think that this Tyrolean Trail will have much impact on tourism in the region?
No, not at all.
Tell me more about your opinions on tourism in this region. What's gone wrong and what's
Okay, well,
hopefully going
I've
right?
lived here for 20 years. I've been head of Disabled Winter Sport Australia. I've run retail businesses. I've worked in and out of shops. I've guided, I've trained, I've done all sorts of things. And I've been at retail for years, and I talk to all the bike stores. You talk to anybody. We've just had the worst retail year, I think the worst 2 retail years in years and years and years. And there's a few reasons. Like, firstly, we built up this really great product where summer was dead. We built trails, put in Thredbo Valley Trail, put in a whole lot of trail, and tourism boomed in summer. Nobody else had built trails, so we were ahead of the curve. Then Thredbo started building more trails, which was great. In the last few years, I mean, there's been COVID, there's been economic hardship, but Eden Mountain Bike Park went in, Narooma Mountain Bike Park went in, Tumbarumba is just finished and about to open, and Mogo Mountain Bike Park went in. So you've got 4 massive mountain bike parks with 200 kilometres of trail. And the days of having to catch lifts like at Thredbo, yeah, it's still great. Thredbo's awesome. But there's e-bikes, so you can ride back up the hill and you're not tired. So you can do gravity. So gravity is where we're at. People want to either catch lifts up, get shuttles up, ride e-bikes up and then downhill. And we have done nothing. When you say build it and they will come, it's a true statement. While we were building trails, people were coming. The coast started building trails and we lost that market again. And I walk into town now and we're back where we were 10 years ago. Shops are all closed. People are having terrible retail figures. It's really sad. Somebody who's one of the bigger developers and bigger landlands, the biggest landowner in Jindabyne, came up to me the other day and said, "What the fuck are we doing? We were 5 to 10 years ahead, now we're 5 to 10 years behind." And that is the absolute truth. If we had have built the trail around the lake, if we had have built the mountain bike park, then we can get our tourism back. People are still going to go down the coast. But if we have an epic mountain bike park in town, Thredbo are doing a fantastic job and making more and more trails and running great events, but they're not getting supported. They need support. There needs to be other trails. There needs to be more of a reason than to come to Thredbo.
What sort of support would you be talking about?
I'm talking about building more trails. We're in a lucky position where lots of these places, Eden and Narooma have tourist facilities. We're used to having 50 to 100,000 people a week come through our town in winter. So we know how to house them. We know how to feed them. We don't have all these other problems. We don't need all these other facilities. We need trails. And for the last, I don't even know how long since, I think the Hatchery Trail might have been the last trail we built. I'm pretty sure that was 7 years ago, 8 years ago. And in the meantime, the last 7 to 8 years have been the biggest development of mountain bike trails Australia and worldwide. And we've done nothing.
Why haven't we done
Council,
anything?
let's just track it back to our merger. We are an area based on tourism. And the other areas, rural for Cooma and, logging and things for Bombala. As soon as we merged, everything stopped. Everything, clear as day. The money we got for our trail disappeared, the $12 million. And I keep asking people, where's the 12 million? Where's the 12 million? It was for a lake trail. It was perfect time. E-bikes came into being. So all of a sudden people could ride 50, 60, 70 kilometres because they've got e-bikes. So all these long distance trails were made for it. Circumnavigating a lake would have been mind-blowing. That is an epic adventure. That is something unique. We could have had camping areas around the lake. We could have had hiking tours. We could have had boat trips. You could have fished around the lake. It would have been epic. And it would have also motivated other people for new businesses, for new trails. Yeah, and it would have helped Thredbo because, people come to Thredbo and they go, "Oh, yeah, I'll spend 2 days at Thredbo." We could have given them another few days here. They could have spent 2 days at Thredbo, done other things, and then gone back to Thredbo. In a way, we need to support Thredbo as well because they're big. But if we don't build trails, we can only keep people here for a couple of days at Thredbo. That's it.
Have any councillors responded to your questions regarding the money?
Yeah, well, one of them sent me this DA thing. Have a look at this DA for Tyrolean. But again, it's I guarantee that development application, the tender won't be $1 million. So again, where's the money?
The 12 million.
Yeah. 1,000-page document must cost a couple of $1 million to produce. I had heard that consultancy had taken away $3 million, but I can't confirm that. But I have heard that.
Can you confirm the 12 million?
11.7 million, I think you'll find. Yeah, that is a fact. I'm pretty sure it was either 6 or 7 years ago given to them, and I'm sure that last year they were asked to return it, and they changed the conditions of, what they were going to do with it. And yeah, crazy.
Gee, that's heartbreaking to hear that we've had the funds for that long and we haven't been able to use them in an appropriate way.
Yeah, also, we've developed an industry of trail builders here. We went from Craig Stonestreet being the only trail builder to Rob and I, then there was 3, and then there's got to be 30 trail builders live here. And we don't have an industry. We are some of the best trail builders are right here. Nick Greentree, Lockie from, TRC Trails. We've got some really great trail builders who have no industry in Jindabyne. We can't build trails in our own home. We have to go over to Tumbarumba and build unbelievable trails. But it's not where we live. And we've got to leave our families to go and build trails, whereas we're meant to be building trails here for a decade. And making this the mountain biking mecca of Australia. We are in the Alpine region. It is a location. We are ready for customers, but we just don't have trails. Yeah.
If you could send a message to SMRC, what would it be?
Man, that's a tough one, isn't it, really? We just need to build trails. We need to stop getting bogged down. And I'm not, we don't tear apart areas. We don't cut down big trees. We don't do any of that, okay? We don't log big areas. We build trails that go around the environment. We don't take out big rocky outcrops. We don't tear through bad places. We've just got to, they've got to pull their head out of all this paperwork and start putting things on the ground. Firstly, we should be going around the lake. From what I understand, there's about 5 or 6 people around that whole lake who have an issue with it. But Snowy Hydro owns, how many, 4 metres, 5 metres above the high water mark? They own the land. Let's just build a trail around it. From what I understand it, a few years ago, there was only one person against the idea, and the other 4 have moved into town over the last few years. Housing prices have boomed. Everything's boomed because summer went up because we built trails. But now as soon as it's like, I don't want a trail out the front of my house, even though these people have made money from their properties. So, yeah, the council needs to give us our money, get somebody in charge. I would suggest personally Craig Stonestreet, the Blue Sky Trails he works for and Natural Trails he works for. They have a proven track record. They are called out throughout Australia to check on legitimacy of trails, sustainability of trails. They build parks, they assess parks, they do tourism studies. They know their stuff inside out. We need to get those people on board who have a local interest and start consulting with them and get things on the ground and support the trail stewardship. Don't just make them, I hate to say it, but they're bitch. Sorry, but it feels like that. These guys are working their ass off at the trail stewardship and they don't get much of a say in things,
I was so surprised to hear that out of 1,000 pages that your name wasn't mentioned, that a lot of other trail builders weren't mentioned and consulted.
I'm not surprised. Yeah, they haven't consulted us for years, hey? Yeah, we're just the one who, did all the trails, did all the events, raised money, started all the organisations. Why would we be involved? Yeah, it's like we don't even exist, hey? Like, people have forgotten what happened and who was involved because the council has nothing to do with us. Man, we live and die for trails. We love our bikes. There's so many passionate bike riders here who are just fed up. We need to build... Okay, the bottom line is our tourism here is dead unless we build that mountain bike park from Round Hill.
And connected to the lake.
Yep.
And that will provide us with how many kilometres of continuous trail?
Well, look, it would be a gravity park. And that's why you bring people to town. I would imagine you'd do 30 to 40 k's of gravity trail there. Thredbo would have like 30 to 40 gravity trails. We'd link back to the lake. It would just provide something in town for people to do as well. The initial plan on the SAT plan was to put a cable car up there and have a visitors information centre and heritage centre and everything. But again, none of that went ahead But we're ripping apart our land and subdividing it and selling off blocks of land to millionaires. But all the stuff they promised us, I think, is it gaslighting? Is that? Yeah. Hey, we're going to give you this, we're going to give you this. We didn't get it. And people are really disheartened, hey? And I know the guys in the trail stewardship, they're working their ass off, but they're churning through people. Because it's like, what's the point? What are we doing here, you know?
And you said you spoke to some of the shops as well?
Oh man, I've been to the shops. I know how the shops all work, and they've had terrible retail time.
Any shops in particular?
And well, Sacred Ride is way down. You know, they're the biggest bike shop around. Nick and the guys have done a great job. They up their rental fleet, you know, to cater for all the tourism, and they're hardly going out anymore. Yeah, so retail for biking is way down. I think retail in general, even though we've had 2 bad ski seasons, the growth was in summer. And now that growth in summer is just gone. Yeah, it's like I said, you walk around town and it's like 10 years ago, all the shops are closed again. And people are like, oh, I've got no business, I won't open Monday, Tuesday or Wednesday. And we were past that 10 years ago. You know, we had big events and the events are dying. You know, the latest Snowy Challenge was just on the weekend. I hardly saw anybody. But initially when they started, there was 300-400 people, you know. Thankfully Threadbow have got Cannonball, which is still booming. But in between those times, I'm pretty sure their numbers are way down on what they used to be.
And the politics of the cycling club, they're healthy?
I don't have anything to do with cycling club anymore. I might have started it, but yeah, man, I got a family. Sometimes you just get sick to death of doing volunteer work, hey? It just, especially when it was going well and we were pushing it, you know, for years and years and years, we were all really active.
This was the Jindabyne
cycling club. Yep. And I'm sure they're still pumping along, not to the scale that they used to. Easy. On the social rides, it was awesome. Like, man, I didn't mind giving up my time every single week because I was like, sweet, I'll go riding with heaps of people. You know, all these people used to tell.
Event, so.
Yeah, it was really great. Like Chris, it makes me sad looking at where we're at with cycling. Like I said, apart from Threadbow, if you took Threadbow out of the picture right here, right now, we've got nothing. Yeah, Threadbow are the only ones like, you know, keeping it up. Good on them.
It's because it's a private business,
yeah.
So they can get things done.
Yeah, exactly. And they can subsidise through winter as well, which is pretty handy. You know, they do well through winter. But they are the only ones building trails. The only ones. Without Threadbow in the picture, Jindabyne is absolutely nothing. I don't even think we'd rate as the top 50 destinations in Australia now. Whereas we should be number 1. And if we got back to either building trail around the lake, building a mountain bike park, it's the only way we're going to come back. We need something massive to draw people.
And that would, when you say a mountain bike park, that would be something that would link all the trails together around the lake.
Yeah, well, it's, you know where Round Hill is, don't you? You know where the substation is? So we go from up there. So Bungarrod will link to it on the back. And then you could ride all the way down to the lake. So that mountain bike park, you cut across the road. And there is a proposal to put a shared trail that goes across the road, linking the future mountain bike park. But I talked to Glenn Jacobs maybe a month and a half ago, and he's head of World Trail. He is the most qualified trail builder in the world. He's an Australian guy, and he's the first UCI registered downhill mountain bike trail. I call him Grandpa because he's an old guy. But he runs World Trail, the best trail company in the world from Australia. And they've actually had people up here still consulting. So I said, what is happening, Glenn? I rang him up. I said, what's happening? Because none of us know what's happening in Jindabyne. Nobody's telling us anything. What's going on? And they're still keen, but the model has all changed and there's no money. So there's no official plans. You know, if you read in the Snowy Times, they keep saying, yeah, the plans are going to be out in 6 months' time and this is going to... But there's no plans. You know, there's no money. There's no... Yeah. Again, when Craig Stonestreet started talking to Snowy Hydro and they were super keen, the idea was that the trail stewardship would help build it and help run it. And what a great business model. You know, as I've said many times, there's great people in trail stewardship I'd be back and help being involved with as well. We could run the park, maintain the park, and make money for the trail stewardship. It's a great model.
Surely within the council, there's some councillors that would be easy to approach to talk to about this.
Oh, I talk to Andrew. The people you say are difficult to talk to are the only ones who are interested, who have a real grasp on reality. And they're not against these things. They just want to see them done properly rather than throwing money at it. You know?
So which council did you speak to again?
Oh, I was talking to Andrew Thaler.
No.
I know lots of people don't get along with him, and that's cool. Lots of people don't get along with me because we're opinionated. You know, we say it how it is, and that offends people. We tell them harsh realities. It's not a matter of being negative. You're telling them the realistic truth, and that's like being a business person, you know.
Did he have any special insight into this project?
Well, he doesn't know either, really. You know, they're just throwing it upon everybody at the last minute. And I did talk to the trail stewardship guys today. They're keen for it to go ahead. There's no doubt about it. But it's not exactly what they wanted, but they just want to see something. So I can understand they're desperate just to see something go down at Tyrolean. You know, there would definitely be benefits. Tyrolean's a great location, you know, but it's not big enough to draw heaps of tourists back. You know, it needs to be an epic mountain bike trail.
So if Tyrolean is to go ahead and truly be successful, it should be combined with the lake trail?
Oh, with the lake trail, or like I said, the mountain bike park. That's the only saviour I see. You know, if we had the mountain bike park off Round Hill there, you know, you're looking at 300 to 400 vertical metres. You know, the runs you'd have up to 4 or 5 kilometre runs. It would be something else.
It does sound epic.
Yeah, it'd be epic. And, you know, there's definitely different models you could do. Trail Stewardship could run it. Putting a lift in is bloody expensive, hey? That's $20, $30 million. But we do have examples of, you know, Threadbow running successful lifts. What's to say they couldn't manage it, or Perisher get involved and manage it, you know? There's so much money going around federally for rail trails. They spend $30, $100 million on rail trails. Man, what's $30 million for a lift?
I think if the council were managing it, it wouldn't be an issue about money. It'd be an issue about efficiency and capability.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see the council run it. They don't know what they're doing. You'd need to have a commercial enterprise or, you know, somebody overseeing it, or the trail stewardship overseeing it, and then we could actually implement a proper model where there's, you know, 5-10 full-time staff wandering around looking after trails and a collection of volunteers. You don't burn volunteers out if they're helping to do new trails and if there's new projects. They do get sick to death of going in on old trails and fixing up muddy spots and lifting in rocks all day, every day, and not seeing anything new develop. You know, because you're not getting excited. You're not getting amped up about what's happening. You know, we built over at Tumbarumba last year, and man, I'm still amped about that. Because the trails are just so modern and so forward-thinking and so awesome. And same with Narooma, and same with Eden, and same with Mogo.
And you've gone down these trails yourself?
Yeah, they're epic. They're amazing trail networks. Amazing. Gets you excited again. Whereas Jindabyne, I've ridden all my life, and I'm struggling to get excited, you know. I really am. Like, I still love Bungarra because it's a great beginner intermediate area. And Tyrolean, you know, still is fun, but it's just lacking. Yeah. Yes.
Well, I heard that there's a council meeting coming up next Thursday.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll
I'm
get
going.
the opportunity to speak?
Yeah, well, I'm going to try and get Craig along as well. Like I said, I'm sort of
Who's Craig?
Craig Stonestreet.
He's
the Natural Trails. He is the trail guru of this area. He's younger than me, but he is my mentor. Everybody knows who he is. He's been involved with everything, you know. He's, like I said, he's pretty much world-renowned. I would put him on a level just behind Glenn Jacobs, you know, World Trail. Craig knows his stuff. And just about advocacy, about setting up volunteers, about trail design, about trail building, about tourism. He's involved in every level. So I'm going to try and get...
You could get him to speak at the council meeting.
I'm going to try to. Yeah, well, I've talked to him today. I sent him some of the documents. I sent him the first one. That's only, 30 pages? And I can't even send him the 1,000-page one, so I'll have to get him to jump online and have a look. But there's just so much waffle in 1,000 pages. Like, come on, you know, we're building bike trails here.
There's so much climate change impact from the bike trail.
Yeah. It's just crazy, hey. You know, so I'll tell you something that is clear as day, and I've been to lots of trail seminars, and I've seen what happens, because I've been in charge of Bungarra for years. So when you build mountain bike trails, okay, when you build a walking trail, even if you have a trailhead that has one trail going to the sign, then people will walk 10 different ways to the sign, and there'll be 10 different erosions. When you build if you don't build mountain bike trails, people will ride where they want to ride, okay? When you build mountain bike trails, mountain bikers stay on the trails, okay? They do, they stay on the trails, and the environment is better looked after than ever. Weeds disappear, everything is looked after because you have a network that accesses that terrain. So people walk in and around. They walk in, they weed, they look for things, and they take ownership when it's a good trail. So creating mountain bike parks creates a better environment, a better, tidier environment. It's as simple as that. There's a million examples of that happening. We don't go in and like a real estate development take out every single tree and develop everything. Yeah. We're trying to make the experience special by utilising nature and not by destroying it. So you can say what you want about climate change, but you need to get people outdoors as well. If you're not getting people outdoors, and that was my whole goal, has always been to get people outdoors so they appreciate nature. Get them outside, get them fit. But if you're not getting people out and about, you know, they don't give a shit when the environment disappears, hey? Because they never saw it, they never cared about it in the first place. If they're out riding every weekend, trust me, they care about the environment, they care about the trees, they care about the animals. You know, so people have all these impact studies and, oh, it's going to be this and it's going to be that. But the real life fact on the ground is that by building mountain bike parks, you look after the land a lot better. You manage weeds a lot better. Everything is a lot better. Everybody's happier.
100%. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Does Gemma get on the bikes often?
Of course. Yeah. Audrey's on a bike. Huddy is on his bike. He's off to Narooma this weekend. Yeah. Oh, mate, if you rode trails, Chris, like Eden, Narooma are epic. Like world class. You know, everybody's heard of the Derby effect, which is down in Tasmania, which was a little logging town. I think you could buy houses for $50,000, $30,000 to $50,000. And then Gladen Jacobs from World Trail got in there and said, hey, this is amazing terrain. I reckon we should build trails and bring a UCI enduro event. UCI is it's the International Cycling Federation. And he's very well hooked up with that. So he built trails and brought the world's first enduro, international enduro, to Derby. And the place has boomed. I think they're 15 years in now. I'm pretty sure the houses are like $1 million now. And not only that, these towns were dead. It was dead, so I call it the Derby effect. People there's so many businesses that have been developed there. The whole town is thriving, pumping. It's, I think, possibly one of the busiest, if not the busiest, place around. And people travel from all over the world. When we started developing trails here, our view wasn't to get people from Canberra. Our view was always to get people from around the world. Because we have an amazing summer. Our winter's shit. Like, I love skiing. Yeah, I do. But let's face it, we don't have much of a winter season. It's not long. Whereas our summer is amazing. So, and there's more people. So, adventure tourism and cycle tourism, like skiing, is getting bigger worldwide. So we want people to come to Australia and stay here. Now, they come here and they might go to Thredbo for 2 days and they'll move on and they'll end up going to Narooma Eden and going down to Derby. Now, we need to keep people here for a week. We want to get more money. We want to build everything up.
Now, I'm not an experienced cycler in any way. Sell me the idea. What's so amazing about this sport?
Cycling is the best, hey? Didn't you ride a bike when you were a kid?
I did.
Yeah.
But I haven't tried this mountain biking.
Mountain biking is almost, for those people who ski, like I remember we did a survey years ago when I was running events, and the reason most people mountain bike is for adventure. Yeah, so for one thing, you're on your bike, and bikes are amazing. They're at the optimal design. You know, carbon fiber. There's e-bikes if you don't want to. You know, if you can't ride up hills and you're a bit unfit, man, you get on an e-bike. You can ride forever. Amazing suspension. They're smooth. They're fast. And then, you know, when I started riding bikes, we were riding on single trails, where the cows would run into paddocks, and we didn't have mountain bikes. We didn't have BMXs. But nowadays, they're just amazing. And the trails, there's professional trail builders. You know, back in the day, we just followed fire trails and ruts and turns and things. Nowadays, you know, there's berms, there's jumps, there's trails made for every single level. You know, from absolute beginner to totally advanced. So, you know, biking is at its optimal stage that it's ever been at. Like I said, bikes are better than ever, and trails are way better than they've ever been. You know, it's not like, trails were better 20 years ago. You know, they say that about some industry. You know, our cars were better 20 years ago, or this was better, but not in bike riding, man. Bikes are way better than they've ever been, and trails are way better than they've ever been. And we have dropped the ball in Jindabyne so bad. It's just, you know, 10 years ago, Craig and I were talking, and we were like, wow, man, we're going to be building trails here for 10 years. And he had to leave town because there's nothing happening. And all the other trail companies that look for trail work outside of Jindabyne.
Well, you've sold me on the idea. I think I might have to give this a go.
Yeah. Do
once
so.
it's out.
Yep.
Now, I have a question or a comment from one of our listeners. You probably know him. He's a very avid bike rider in the region. He's a bit bummed out because apparently in Bangara, you're not allowed to ride your bike along a BMX trail. Is that correct?
No.
You need to be a member to ride on
Yeah.
some specific trails?
Yeah, well, you're meant to be a member there to ride. You know, they did let club members ride, but what happened again over COVID, they used to lump, so what I understand happened was they run programs there, so 200 kids a week. They're one of the biggest outdoor education companies in Australia. And their insurance covered bike riding, camping and everything. But I think it was around about COVID or after COVID, the insurance company decided to split their insurance. So instead of saying, yeah, your social riding is lumped in with all your other bike riding as a group, it's not. You're going to have to spend $15,000 to $20,000 a year to cover insurance for social riding. So they have to foot $15,000 to $20,000 a year to let people ride around Bangara. So they've had to introduce a fee. And from what I understand, they don't even cover, it doesn't come close to covering. They don't get enough people out there to cover that. So yeah, it kind of sucks in a way, but it's not their fault. And man, if you're a beginner intermediate, it's well worth it. Hey, I've been looking after the trails. Like I built the trails. I kind of let them go a little bit over the last few years, but for the last 12 months, I've been contracted to look after them. And man, they're you know, I go over to Tumbarumba where we've made amazing trails, gnarly trails, big drops, big rocks, still blue and green trails as well, but blacks. And then I come back to Bangara and I still believe it is one of the best beginner intermediate trail networks in Australia. You know, you've got 300 acres, you're never more than 500 metres away from facilities, and there's 20 k's of trail. And, you know, there's skill parks, there's little jumps parks. It's a great place to take your family. Yes, it does suck that you've got to pay a fee, but they've got to pay $20,000 a year for insurance. So I think they got the worst end of the stick. Yeah.
Well, thanks for explaining that, Paul. I think most people wouldn't know those facts
Yeah.
without someone telling them.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't. People just think it's okay to go riding, but insurance nowadays, they can ruin you, you know. And there's a lot of people trying to rip off bike riding parks. It's been happening a lot. I've actually been involved in a couple of things where lawyers have rung me up and asked if I can give my professional opinion on accidents. Yeah, and some of them look legit, and some of them look very staged to me. Yeah. I know, it's not something I would ever do, but people are always out there trying to make money off something that's great. Yeah.
I'm surprised the Bangara one is. Did you say 20 kilometers on just 300 acres? That's amazing. Must be like trails everywhere.
Yeah, there is. Dude, man, if you were going to go somewhere to ride, that's where you go. I said, I'm so proud of those trails. I look at them.
And you did those trails?
Yeah. Dude, I built them nearly all by hand originally. That was my first trail job.
Oh, before you got your excavator?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, so that was in 2010.
How did you build a trail by hand?
Oh, lots of brush cutting, lots of mowing, and it's hard through alpine grass and those tufts and everything. So initially what happened was I was so I moved to Jindabyne in 2005. I was always a bike rider, hey, all my life. Since I was a tiny little kid, I went through BMX phase. I went through every mountain bike phase. I haven't just come to mountain bike. I started riding mountain bikes in 1989. Okay, most people are like, really? They were around then? And I've been through every mountain bike phase, so I've seen it, you know, come and go. And I was working out at Bangara. So I moved here to run Disabled Winter Sport Australia for winter. Then in summer I was like, oh, what am I going to do? One of my friends said, hey, you should come work at Bangara as a guide. So I went and worked at Bangara as a bike guide, and we just used to ride around on the fire trails and the farmers' paddocks out the back, and then we'd go out to Smiggin's Holes and ride down there. It was just dangerous, hey?
When you say you'd start off in one spot and then move to another, you'd have to pack up your bikes.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, dude. So
doesn't that break the continuity?
Yeah, so on Bangara we had no trails, so we used to ride them around on the fire roads. Then we'd go, okay, you're okay to go up now. We'd put all the bikes on, then we'd drive up to Smiggin's and then ride all those access roads down the back, which was pretty dangerous, to be honest with you. And Rob Gant-Thompson and I, we were sitting around a campfire one day and we're like, man, we need to hold more events and we need trails, you know. Thredbo hadn't built a new trail in years. National Parks hadn't built a new trail in 30 years, okay? And I was riding downhill at Thredbo years ago and nothing had happened. You know, I'd moved to Jindabyne in 2005 and nothing had happened. It was like, this is crazy. So Rob and I were sitting around a campfire after years of guiding. We said, I reckon we need to set up a company and we need to run events. And we're like, but we need trails. And we're like, how about we approach Andrew Brown and we give him a proposal to build trails on the property.
And this is Bungaro?
Yeah. So we went from being guides and we approached Andrew, and he's such a negotiator. And he talked us down. I think the trails were so cheap we ended up doing, but we didn't care because we'd started a trail company. So we started Rolling Ground Jindabyne, and that was an events and a trail company, And the idea was to build the trails, the kids in the program could ride on that, and then we could also run events. And the trails we built were specifically really built for the programs, which is beginner, intermediate kids coming through. So we built skills parks, we built pump tracks, and again, we got Craig on board. So Craig, at the time, I'd moved to Jindabyne, and there was a bike store in town, And he was so far ahead of the curve. So Craig had a bike store where nothing else was going down, And he was out at Tyrolean. I used to see him out at Tyrolean, and I was like, man, how cool is our council paying this guy to build trails out at Tyrolean Village? But they weren't paying him. Him and a guy called Bunty had just gotten out there off their own back, and they were cutting trails in Tyrolean, They were legal trails, but otherwise there was no trails. And you used to ride across the dam wall, and you get across the dam wall, and man, unless you're a really good rider and super fit, there was no way. Like, you just weren't going anywhere. They were super technical. They went straight up hills. Anyway, but I always thought, man, this Craig guy, he's awesome, He's doing these trails.
And these were illegal trails.
Yeah, I was
the
like,
best trails were the illegal ones.
All trails were illegal back in the day, And but Craig had this bike store, and I was like, this guy's awesome. I got to know Craig. Anyway, Rob and I decided to set up a trail company. And Craig had been going to councils. Bruce Marshall, big advocate for mountain bike riding, like absolute legend. He'd been getting Craig to build some trails at Lake Crackenback. But all of a sudden we went to a meeting with the council, and there was 3 trail builders. So finally Craig had 2 buddies, It was like, so we'd gone from one Craig trail builder, Craig Stone Street, to being the only one talking to council about we've got to start doing something. To all of a sudden there was 3. So when we built Bungaro, we approached Craig, and he helped us do alignments and things. And from that, I just remember we had some lawnmowers and some brush cutters, and Craig helped us put alignments out, and we gave the map to Andrew, and we said, this is how many trails, this is how much we think it's going to cost. And then for the next 6 months or whatever, we just mowed and cut in trails. And we didn't really do any machine work because none of us could use a machine, and we didn't have a machine. And I think when we did the flow trail, we got just some machine operators, and they had no idea about trails, and we just told them what we wanted. So they dug some berms and things, and we've done different trail alignments since and rebuilt things. And then what happened, I think that was about 2010. We'd started the Lake Jindabyne Trail Committee, 2010, and the Thredbo Valley Trail Committee. And they put out for tender that they were going to build a trail from the dam wall to Tyrolean. And I think we went for it, Rob and I, but we had no idea. And Jindabyne Landscaping at that stage, they're a big organisation. I actually work for them on and off as well still. I have worked for Andrew for almost 15 years now. They got the contract, but they'd never built a trail before. So Craig was working for the council, but I think they also employed Craig to be project manager. So he oversaw the trail, and that was the first stage that went in, Mill Creek Trail. And that was the first section of trail that had been built in years. And that kick-started, then Thredbo Valley Trail went ahead. Craig ended up overseeing that. Thredbo started overseeing trails. Craig oversaw the first flow trail and the first incarnation of that. He built that. But without Craig, and I always say it, he's the grandfather of trails in this area. Without Craig Stone Street, we're nothing. He is the one who's put his heart and soul into it, And, man, he's good. He just knows his stuff. He's an awesome guy. Not just saying that because he's my buddy. Anybody who meet him, he knows how to deal with people. He knows how to get things done, and he knows his shit inside out, back, front.
Maybe we can rejuvenate this Jindabyne
bike. We were working with him over at Tumba for 8 months, and that's where he lives, and I'm off to Tumba Fest to hang out with him next week. But we were telling him what's going on in Jindabyne. He's like, maybe I should get back in the ring for Jindabyne, because it makes him sad too. And one of the reasons he left is because nothing was happening here. There was no consultation with him. There was nothing. And all these other people around Australia were like, Craig, we want you to help build the biggest parks in Australia. So I think he's pretty keen to throw his hat back in the ring and just get stuff going again.
Oh, the community certainly needs it.
Yeah, yeah, we do. But yeah, Bruce Marshall's been a really big advocate for bike trails. Hey, without Bruce and Craig, nothing would have happened. Like absolutely nothing. Those two guys push things. You can either love or hate Bruce. I actually think he's a totally awesome guy, and man, when he goes eventually, sorry for listening to this, Bruce, but mate, it'll be a sad place. That guy has passion to burn for this area, and it gets him really depressed at the state of mountain bike trails. He rides everywhere around the world, and he comes back here and he keeps saying, "What are we doing, Paul?" I've got nothing to tell him, mate. And he is, when Thredbo Valley Trail was going, he donated money to bridges and to get things done. Hey, we need this. Okay, here you go. Get it done. Yeah, so he has huge passion for the area, and yeah, we're just letting everybody down.
Well, I'll make sure that the independent councillors hear this message before the next Thursday meeting.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll get to meet you as well. I think you know some of them as well.
I do. Yeah. Yeah, I just want to see things go ahead again, hey? We've just got to stop. Just stop paying consultants, man. Didn't we go through this at a federal level? And wasting money on consultants? Like, we don't need to do 10 Aboriginal heritage studies, environmental studies. We just don't need to keep doing this, because if you do something enough, you're going to find what you're looking for, And then you're going to shut everything down, and you've spent so much money finding something to shut yourself down. We are not going to destroy the environment. We actually give a damn. We do actually like being in, people like Craig, myself, all the trail builders, we're outside more than I'll guarantee just about anybody on this planet. We live to be outside. Yeah.
I hear you, Paul. Thank you very much.
The Tyrolean Trail is supposed to be a game changer for Jindabyne, yet here we are, bogged down in bureaucracy, missing millions, and watching other regions surge ahead while we fall further behind. From one of our pioneer trail builders, the frustration is clear. Jindabyne had the potential to be Australia's premier mountain bike destination, but instead it's been ignored, delayed, and buried under endless reports and consultations. We've heard from Paul, who built the trails, fought for investment, and is still waiting for real action. The message is simple: stop wasting time and money on reports and consultants. Just build the trails. Without immediate action, we risk losing not just our trails, but the economic and tourism benefits that come with them. So where does Jindabyne go from here? That's up to the council and the community. Will those in the Cooma High Tower finally listen to the experts and invest in a true mountain biking future? Or will this remain another missed opportunity buried in a 1,000-page report? I hope you enjoyed this episode of Monaro Zone. Thanks again for all your support. It's you in the community who keep us going. As long as the independents keep fighting for you, we'll keep doing our best to bring the truth to light. Please like and share this with others in the community. This is your humble correspondent, signing off. Have a great weekend.
The Lord bless and keep you in this cold and windy land. The pioneers who braved it first forever guide our hand. Long may the Monaro prosper, long may its people stand, bound by truth and honor in this bold and hardy land.